Let's roll. Level 2 has begun. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. So, of course, we've got Chet Holmgren versus Victor Wembanyama tonight in the association. I've been interested and fascinated by this game. We're at the half right now. 63-52 for OKC. Chet Holmgren has 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. That's solid DFS numbers. For those of you, that's the type of box score you're looking for. But as far as Victor Wembanyama is concerned, Victor's played 15 minutes. He scored 13 points. He's got 3 blocks, and he's got 4 rebounds. I bet Victor Wembanyama over 22.5 points scored tonight. So he's played 15 minutes. Popovich said he's going to start to play him a little bit more now that the doctors have given the okay. So he'll probably play about 30 minutes, I would imagine, tonight. So we should be able to I would expect him to be able to get over this 22.5. We got that same game parlay that we swung with the fences for, the 4-banger. Wembanyama, 25 or more points. SGA, 25 or more points. And both of them 5 or more rebounds. As far as SGA is concerned, SGA has 16 points in the first half, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds. This guy's just turned into one of the best players in the National Basketball Association. I look forward to starting to talk basketball with Paul down the road. But Paul, we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Anytime I see a 44.5, to me, like you said, that's that key number, that benchmark, right? That I'm like, man, all it takes is 24-21 to get there. And I look at this game, though, but 24-17 really wouldn't shock me in a football game like this. This is going to be smash mouth. Kansas City's defense is good. Shout out to everybody joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. So, Paul, what's your assessment of the Baltimore and Kansas City matchup?
So one thing about Baltimore, you can run the football against them. Shane had over 100 yards, as did McCaffrey and Williams of the Rams. I think he had 25 carries for $114. So I think if Kansas City wants to carve its way a path to success, they should do so on the ground with Pacheco. Pacheco was very successful this past week. We gave him out as well. And I think they will try to run the ball, at least at the outset. And I don't think they're going to abandon the run either, because this offense has been pretty futile all year. People will remember Sunday and say, oh, maybe it looks like the Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City offense of old, but it's not. That was in large part due, as I mentioned before, to the injuries on the Buffalo defensive side of the ball. But you do a look back, and this team had trouble against the Raiders. They had trouble throughout. They did score some points against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati has one of the worst defenses this year in the league. So I just don't see a lot happening on the Kansas City side. And in order to compete here, I think they're going to have to keep this low scoring. I don't think Kelsey is going to have a free roll here at all. And I think his passes, when he does catch them, are going to be short ones. And he's not going to have those yards.
And the Ravens are going to look to murder Kelsey, too. You could just see they're going to try to punish him when he catches the ball. Hey, pretty boy, you and Kelsey, huh? You and Travis, you and Swift. Yeah. Baltimore players are already sort of taking little mock shots about that.
Yeah, he's gonna have a bullseye on his head. There's no doubt about that. So I just think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle mightily to put points on the board.
So it sounds like you like Baltimore to win the game, at least.
I like them to win the game. I would not lay over a field goal. They're unreliable laying a lot of points, particularly in the second half where they have a tendency to collapse. This much I will say. I think the second half under is a play. If you could take it in advance and you see a number 21.5 or greater, I think that's a play, because if you look at the Chiefs, by and large, all of their second half scoring combined is low, 7, 10, 13. So I just think the game may really turn into a grind-out affair at some point where each team is trying not to make a mistake. And let's face it, Lamar Jackson, I think his strength, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, is running the football. I don't know that he has the confidence to throw it downfield all the time. So I just think that his rushing total would be a good play. Last week, he handled it correctly because the Texans were playing man-to-man. You play man-to-man, you got an advantage running the football. Now it remains to be seen how Kansas City handles him defensively. Will they put a spy? Will they play man-to-man? Will they go to a zone? But I still think he's going to try to run the football, and his rushing total probably is a good play to the high side.
Gabe would be that spy, though, right,
that.
Gabe? And he's banged up. I got to take, if you like the Lamar prop now, I saw 62.5 up to 64.5, I would take it because I think that thing's going to skyrocket, guys. Don't you? That's the thing. If they have their guy who's going to be basically the spy on Lamar, and Gabe, he's going to find an opening and just go absolutely bananas. It's one of those runs he can get, him, man. The guy's like a track star. So I like his over rushing prop for sure.
And Kansas City has a shutdown corner. Corner. And with that, he might not have the passing lanes that he is looking for, and he'll just run. He won't hesitate.
No, he won't hesitate. In a regular season, to silence people like you, Paul, he prefers to throw, right? There's times where it's I could run, but I'm going to throw it, and he racks up the passing stats. But we see it, right? Smart quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts didn't want to do it. He had one rushing attempt against the Buccaneers, but like you said, there's going to be times when Lamar's going to say, you know what? I see a lot of space. I'm taking off here. And oh, dear God, the St. Louis Blues just scored again.
Wow.
3-0.
You said it, Gabe. It's not over yet.
Oh,
but
wait.
Disallowed?
The referee doesn't like something.
Oh, okay, good. I don't like
referee
it
doesn't like something about this goal. I like good game. No, I'm telling you, I don't know. The ref pointed no, don't celebrate. Come here. I don't have the sound up.
Okay. So Paul, it sounds like you're leaning under.
No, there's
Ravens
a penalty.
Game. Oh, penalty.
There's a penalty on the Blues after all this, I think.
We'll take it.
Yeah, there is. Sorry, Paul. Yeah. Keep people up to date here.
So good. So good.
All right, we got 30 seconds with Paul. Be quick here.
Hockey is king, man. Hockey is king. It's Canada.
No,
Canadians.
Everything is king.
That's a big game.
No, hockey's not king. It's just a lot of hockey going on right now.
It's like a stock market show. We got to keep people up to date with the markets, Paul. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
I got it.
You like that under, Paul? So you're saying, you say, obviously 45 key, but I'm leaning under in that game. Right?
I'm leaning under. These are not over football teams. These are not over football teams. They're just not. I would not play any overs right now with Kansas City Chiefs.
Even that Houston game last week only got that push late because of the field goal.
Yep.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in the divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Damn, man. Victor Wembanyama's played 5 minutes of the second half and hasn't scored any points. Looks like it's going to be one of these nights tonight. We need some buckets. So speaking of buckets, we got a bonus pick from Paul Bovey because, like I said, Paul loves capping the NBA, but he goes through the football season first. But now he's all, how about those Knicks? When they suck, he doesn't want to talk about them. But now he's like already, how about them
right,
Knicks?
Baby.
Yeah, Knicks and Nuggets tomorrow night. I swear,
That's right.
every time these national TV shows, like they're idiots, these people, but like they do, and I don't think Becky Ham's in it, but she said that he's not the man, right? She said, listen, he's a really good player. She said, you're not going to win if your star isn't big. And people like kind of took offense to it. Others have piled on as well with this sort of take that Brunson's not a star, not a superstar. He's a star, but he's not this and that. It seems to light a fire under his ass because every time people say something, he goes off and he notices because I follow him on Twitter and he posts like, he's always posting little like cryptic things after he shuts people up after. So props to him. He's really balling and man, he's playing even better than I thought. And just quickly on this, Paul, since you're a Knicks fan with him, I saw Jamal Crawford last night, who I do have a lot of respect for. And Crawford's not one of these hot take type of say stupid things guys.
Yeah.
And they said, like, you played with Brunson when he was younger. Did you see it in him? And he goes, no, I'll be honest with you. He goes, he was good. He goes, I love what he said. He goes, I'll be honest with you guys. He goes, there's a lot of players in the NBA that would put big numbers up, but they'll never get the chance to. And he said, I always knew he was really good, but I never thought he would get the chance to be the guy. And he goes, but to be honest, there's a lot of guys, and he goes, not taking anything away from Jalen, but he goes, a lot of guys in the league that really could be stars, but they don't get the chance because of what team they're on. The coach doesn't like them, doesn't trust them. And the Knicks put a hell of a lot of faith in Brunson, Paul, and he's paying back in dividends.
It's true. And not only is he a great player, he is a quality individual. He's very grounded. And I'm sure this is the guy that spent hours and hours in the gym honing his game. And that's why perhaps Crawford, and I saw Crawford last night.
Oh, so
I can't believe
you saw what I was talking about, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't believe how young that guy looks. It looks like he could still play in the NBA. I mean, this guy's like
he can still shoot
45.
better than most guys in the NBA, too.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
It takes care of himself.
He's got good genes. But anyway, Brunson, I have to tell you, the guy's great, and he gives us the foundation that we can build off of and hopefully win in the next couple years. I want to see in my lifetime a Knicks championship. It's not looking good right now.
Well, it's like me being a Bills fan. You guys might have a better chance, actually, as crazy as it sounds. I think you guys might be a little closer.
Oh, you're right. I take the Knicks over the Bills for first.
Yeah, they could go on a run and make the playoff. Who knows? Like,
how about the Maple Leafs? Jeez, how about the Maple Leafs?
Dude,
oh my
don't
God!
Even say it. You'll be on my funeral. You'll be going. Cam's gone. He's dead. No, the Leafs are never going to win, buddy.
The Leafs are like the Knicks. The Leafs haven't won since '67, Paul.
67.
Right.
Wasn't even born.
So sort of the same type of thing with the Knicks in the early 70s. But one thing we'll say, and even me, I remember I was part of the crew that, they couldn't get Donovan Mitchell, and they got Brunson. Well, Brunson's better than Mitchell. Let's just call it out for what it is. Right? Mitchell's a good player.
So we would have had to give away more, too. I mean, it was a steal. It was an absolute steal.
And it goes to show what Crawford was talking about. Brunson couldn't be Brunson with Luka on the court. That's the problem when you have these great players like Luka. It's him, man, right? It's just point blank. Porzingis was the same way. He was like, I just can't do this. Like, I can't just stand in the corner and Luka walks the ball up slowly, limits possessions. So it's just this, it's like a poison. I'm saying it's working with Kyrie in a statistical manner, but whatever. They're still kind of average. But, So, Paul, we'll get you out of here. You're looking at the NBA overnights here. We had the Philadelphia 76ers in Indianapolis take on the Pacers. Pacers, of course, made the move. They bring in Siakam. They gave up some bodies to do it as well. There's always a transitional period in the NBA. And they don't have Halliburton, right, to get everybody on the same page now. What's your take on the Sixers laying 5 on the road against the Pacers? Total 237 in this game. And for the record, the Nuggets and Knicks tomorrow. Denver, 2-point favorites at MSG.
So I'd actually rather have this game on the road if I'm supporting Philly, which I am, because I'd have to be laying, 12, 11 at home, and I just don't want to do that in the NBA. But these teams played a home and home earlier in the season. Philly wins by 7. Pacers turn around and win by 6. But Halliburton, combined in those two games, had 32 assists, and he was a plus 19 in one of those games. I just don't think they can compete here with Philly. Philly's on a heater. I think they're going to want to keep this going, and I could see them being very motivated off that loss to Indiana earlier in the season. And look, Embiid's looking to pile up points. So Miles Turner in one of those games was on the court for all of 19 minutes before he fouled out. So he has trouble with Embiid at times. He had 22 points in the other game and stayed on the court for 29 minutes. But I just don't think this is going to be a contest. And I think Philly's going to roll them on the road, cover the 4.5 for 5. So I'm going Philly.
And quickly on the way out here, Paul, we'll get about 2 minutes here. George Kurtz will join us in the next segment. Nuggets and Knicks tomorrow. I'm looking here, Cam. Raptors haven't played in a couple of days. It's a good thing. I'm almost happy. I'm looking. I'm like, we get a reprieve at least. Like,
game, dude,
give us a week off or 2 weeks off or something. Like, whatever. Like, we don't need to play.
Red Lobster.
God, they're bad.
That night. They are awful.
So what do you think about the Nuggets and Knicks? Obviously, it's going to be lit. It was a fun atmosphere. I watched the Brooklyn game last night. I bet on the Knicks, actually. I took them in game when they came back. And I was impressed. You got Tyra Banks there and all kinds of other celebrities. So tomorrow night is going to be real lit with the Denver Nuggets rolling into town here, Paul. Can the Knicks pull this one off?
I don't know, but I'm wondering what my partner sold my tickets for. That's all I care about. Hopefully.
You're going to send a text after, so how much should we get? Yeah. How much should we get? Anyways,
But anyway, look, I'm not going to, I never get involved, or I try not to get involved with picking Knick games from a financial standpoint and betting on them or betting against them, because I tend to get it wrong, and I tend to vote sometimes with my heart instead of my wallet. So I will be rooting for the Knicks, and I hope no dumbass calls me during the game because I left my phone at home. That's all I can say.
No call zone during the Knicks game. Big game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is a big game. I mean, this is a big game. Look, the Nuggets only come to town once a year, and we get them again a couple weeks from now, but we get them again in the Mile High City, and that's not going to be quite so easy. So we better get him tomorrow.
Always a great atmosphere. Like I said, it's the one thing NBA players, every NBA player I've always spoken to, always told me when I was in New York, always said, love playing at MSG. And it told me this is the game. He said there's only a few cities we get haircuts for. He goes, this is one of them.
Get haircuts for. That's awesome.
That's the thing. He said you get your hair done for New York, Miami, and LA.
Yeah, and some of us were lucky enough to sit in the first row too.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Great memories. And they came back and won too. That was a good night. We had them. They came back, and that was a great night. You know what's crazy too? It actually happened. I told RJ Barrett, you should be on the Raptors, bro. Now he is.
That's right. That's right.
He was in front of me. I said, hey, Maple Mamba, man. I said, go Raps. I said, man, it's too bad you're not on the Raps. He sort of looked at me kind of like, what's this guy talking to me?
Probably remembers that. Probably said, where is that guy now?
Where's that ball guy in New York? Told me to come to Toronto. Thanks, Paul.
Take care.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with one touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Pharrell
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live. Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was good
late
betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Fun show tonight. Flying by. Quickest 180 minutes in sports talk and television continues. So there's been a lot of stuff. I'm going to get to the Harbaugh, give my take as a Michigan fan and everything else as far as Harbaugh is concerned. But big news as far as hockey today. So, listen, there's a never-ending investigation with Hockey Canada, man. Like, they're worse than, like, the Gambino family or something. Like, it's basically like a mob, like, trial that never ends. And you'd like for Hockey Canada once to just sort of come clean with everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just because they get caught for something in, like, 2004, right? And it's like 10 years later, they get nailed for something that happened 10 years ago. And they're like, well, that was a long time ago, huh? Hey, there's a lot of stuff has changed since then. And it's like, wow, you get nailed every couple of years for something. Like, we're backlogged. Well, I should note, Hockey Canada has paid over $19 million over the years in lawsuit settlements. Now, and we don't know for what. Now, let me ask you, why does Hockey Canada keep getting sued so much? Like, what do they need? Like, they basically they had a slush fund that was used to silence victims. I'm going to cut to the chase. They have a slush fund that's been used to silence victims, and it's worked for the most part over the years. But some things can't be swept under the rug, and I don't know the full details. I kind of know what happened with the team a bit, and it's kind of ugly stuff, but I don't know why legally, because point blank, Canadian police will look the other way when it involves hockey players, all right? If it's big to the community, if it's big to the city of the team. I know, like, when I was in Montreal, the Montreal police told the Canadians, if you don't trade this guy, we're going to arrest him, point blank. You have 2 weeks, all right? The guy got traded. So, like, stuff happens a lot in hockey that hockey people all sort of know about, kind of look the other way about. So I don't know why now the London Police Department in Ontario basically said, all right, 5 of you've got problems, like lawyer up, and we've got to talk. And we've seen over the last couple of days, various NHL players suddenly taking leave of absences. Now, to me, and I'll throw it to you first, Cam, the thing is, to use mental health as any sort of shield is like the worst thing you can do, because it takes away from real mental health issues. And the Calgary Flames with Dylan Dubé said in their release, he needs to deal with mental health issues. So it makes people feel sorry. And okay, he's got an issue he needs to deal with. Well, his mental health issue is he's one of the players under investigation for a sexual assault. Yep. So, that's not like, that's not a mental health issue. So the Philadelphia Flyers, Carter Hart, personal reasons. So we can do the math here in what's going on, but this is just a long-running story with Hockey Canada that's caught up, and for the record, there's others as well. All right? Yep. I'm going to say, listen, these are 5 guys, only 4 of them in the NHL, 2 of them of consequence, specifically Hart. There's talk that everyone kind of thinks, listen, there's probably about 15 of these dudes that are in the NHL that have, like, serious skeletons in their closet that wake up every day hoping that I'm not part of this next report. And a lot of them haven't been. But you can't run forever. And now here we are, and we'll see how they handle this moving forward. But from a hockey perspective, Carter Hart is a big-time member of the Philadelphia Flyers who are having a good year, and I don't see how he can play. Like, he can't play now, Kurtz. Like, this isn't like it's not like a traffic thing or something. Like, it's going to be pretty bad. I don't know. I don't know if the NHL will step up and do something, because you are innocent until proven guilty, but there's a lot of stuff going on here that's going to be a bad look if they just put Carter Hart back between the pipes.
It's a great point that you bring up earlier, though, Gabe. Instead of doing this stuff and having these things leak and changing, we have a new president in Hockey Canada, too, Catherine Henderson. Remember, she came in over former curling president of Canada. They said they're going to clean all this stuff up. So what has really changed? You lose a couple sponsorships, and then the same thing. This investigation, as you said, like, why don't you just put it all out on the table and say, this is what happened, This is what's going on. Instead, there's always, like you said, little cookie crumbs, this and this and this and this. You're supposed to bring in these new people to clean this up, and we got the same type of situation. Obviously, there's some bad people and bad things were done. I couldn't agree with you more, Morency. It's time just to say, like, it's in a case now. It's like, here's the evidence. It's on the table. Let's deal with this stuff now. But they seem to just kind of just, brush it off. Yeah, whatever. And yeah, you said it.
Well, for the most part,
it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
For the most part, they can, and they do brush it off because the hockey media, basically won't report these things. I find it fascinating, George, that the hockey insiders can tell me where every stupid third and fourth liner is going to get traded, potentially. The GMs, they have these guys on speed dial, but there wasn't one. Oh, yeah, by the way, they're lying about, like, this personal absence stuff. Like any other league, the media would be like, it's an outrage that you lied and used mental health or like you didn't come clean. But hockey guys, they know. Like that, no, there's not one league, George. There's not one sport. And I know I worked with the Montreal and in a building with the Montreal Canadiens. There's not one league that has as much control over the people that cover them than the NHL does. Just point blank. Like there's, NFL has power and can like tell a network we don't like something. But there's still rogue people that'll investigate the NFL about things and will expose a dark light on stuff. Hockey, it's like the media thinks it's their job to cover it up so they can find out who some stupid trade is going to be so they can keep their job and stay on these stupid panels and be on the stupid trade deadline shows. But they're useless. Like, don't pretend, all you guys out there, and I know you're not tuning in, you're too busy right now laughing it up at the Queenie Hotel bar. The thing is, don't ever call yourselves journalists, right? You're just puppets. That's all you are. You're effing puppets that release the same goddamn tweets and press releases from the teams of the stupid trades that no one cares about. Sorry, Kurtz. What's your take?
I think you're both right. I don't really have much to add as far as that's concerned. I think hockey, in a way, is what football and baseball and I'll assume basketball was here 30 years ago, where the players were always protected. Where the police would protect, they wouldn't report I'm not talking major crimes here, but if you got pulled over for a DWI, you weren't being brought in, right? That's how it was back in the 80s and maybe
well, you're still
90s.
Not.
Well, they do get it happens more. It happens more now. It happens more. But that's why the problem is? Aren't you afraid? I should say afraid, but aren't you concerned where the NFL wants to buy a stake in ESPN? What's that going to do for journalism? The NFL, they were staking. They're not going to let any of those guys report anything bad. You're not going to hear about, Ursay and a drug problem or any of these other issues the owners have had. You're never going to hear about that again. There'll be no more NFL Network because ESPN will take it. They'll all be like one big happy family. Who's going to report the negative stuff about the NFL? That's why the NFL wants a piece of ESPN.
Well, we should note ESPN went to them. Right, and I can't like agree more with you, George. Like from an ethical standpoint, it's preposterous, right? It's preposterous. But we're already, put it this way, do they need to own something already, George, to already kind of be in control? You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like, you know what I mean?
Remember that TV show years ago that was on ESPN, the football show?
Yeah, the Playmakers or whatever the hell. They canceled it. They were like, we don't like this show.
NFL wanted it gone. It was a good show.
Went to HBO. HBO was like, screw you. We don't have the rights to you, so we don't care.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Well, that's what happens, Cam. Because, like George said, so basically ESPN's trying to float revenue right now, and their idea was to have the leagues buy in as a partnership. Right, because they see that as a never-ending cash cow as partnership. But as you stated, it throws all journalistic stuff out the window. But what journalism does anyone do anyways, George? Now it's already dead.
Gabe,
like they killed the Outside the Line show, bro. Like you know what I mean? They killed their anything that was like sort of serious. But the other thing is too, any sort of long form interview stuff is dead now. But the media as a whole, it's not really journalism, right? There are journalists out there. There are very few of them, right? That'll expose things or trying to get to the heart of the matter of stories and stuff as opposed to reading press releases, right? I mean, let's just be real. I mean, all these so-called insiders, they're not like, it's not like they're breaking Watergate and stuff. And this is gumshoe investigational work that they're doing. No, they're getting text messages from GMs and they're being told what to say on TV. And
I like that.
they do it, and the party continues, and they go golfing with people, and they go out to dinner, and they make their money, and everybody is happy with their, with the way things are, the status quo. But with hockey, it's just, and it's funny too that they're so transparent about it that this story broke, George, and about 20 minutes later, they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, Utah is probably going to get a team. It's like, oh, yeah, this wasn't just like this isn't planned. And whether it didn't happen in the National Hockey League, but it's an NHL problem right now. Because even ESPN's talking about, there's 5 players in the NHL, 4 of them, and 1 former NHL player that are under investigation right now. But the hockey media will do a pretty good job of ignoring this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in the divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home-road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was good
late
betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Of all nights, the Vancouver Canucks have to be the ones not to show up. There's still some racetrack left in this game. Low-scoring game. I got to be honest, I blame the blue metallic helmets that suck. These stupid metallic helmets the teams wear. This is the first game that the Vancouver Canucks are wearing these helmets tonight, Cam.
No,
Everything's
Dave,
going fine until you guys get cute with these stupid new helmets.
We don't have the research department. I can remember the Kings wore those silver ones and lost. Vancouver's got the new blue metallic. I'm not down with let's see how these new metallic helmets and give me results. They don't seem to be very positive.
I'm seeing women's hockey highlights here. I like these girls. They're wearing old school Jofa cages and stuff. No fancy metallic helmets in a PWHL, baby.
Yeah.
There's a girl with the glass. Actually, it's funny. It's like, yeah, it's the same mask I had. So good hockey in the PWHL. But anyways, so yeah, listen, Hockey Canada's a mess, blah, blah. We know this. But how does it affect the Philadelphia Flyers moving forward? They've got goaltending, but they're not deep enough right now. Erson's pretty good, 12-7-3 on the season, 2.44 goals against, 905 save percentage is pretty good. They're having such a good year, but they're going to have to bring in another. They got Cal as well, Cal Peterson. They got another goalie, but, to me, what are they going to do? George, I'll throw it to you. Do you think the Flyers make a move as far as the goalie position is concerned, or do you think they just ride this out?
How important is it for Flyers management to make the playoffs? Because they do need another important. I think it probably is as well here, but you're going to pay a premium for a goalie because you're not the only team. The Devils barely need a goalie. The Toronto Maple Leafs might be in the market for a goalie, and there are several other teams as well. You mentioned, Gabe, I think during one of the breaks that Montreal has 3 goalies. Certainly teams will be calling them, but Montreal's going to hold teams up because so many teams need a goalie here. Philly,
Jake Allen will be the one to go. The Canadians aren't going to trade one of the young ones. Montembeau's a stud. Montembeau's really good, and Primo's coming on. Right? He's it's been a journey for him, but obviously, if you're the Montreal Canadiens, Cam, why is Jake Allen even on the damn team? Like, you're rebuilding. What are you doing? Like, now people want goalies.
I'm going to be honest.
You'll be able to get something for Jake Allen.
I don't think Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia basically, when they were looking at this team with the old guys they have and the young guys, like they have Morgan Frost and some other players and stuff, like they were just shocked that they're doing this well. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually disagree. I think they're not. I just think they're going to ride Urson and bring up a kid from Lehigh Valley and just see how things go. And you said it, Gabe. If they do pick up a goalie, it's going to be some old guy that they're going to give nothing because they're not going to franchise the future for a goaltender of a team.
No.
Philadelphia, they're spinning their wheels. Like they're
but at the same point in time, they've had fan apathy over the years, and there's an enthusiasm in the building that they're not going to want to lose.
Getting in the playoffs might be important. It might be important to reinvigorate that fan base. That being said, I agree. I wouldn't. If I'm a GM, I'm not giving up what's going to be needed to get a goalie. And by the way, how much better is Jake Allen than Urson, if any? By the way, the Devils going to tell you about this too. How much better is Jake Allen than Vanacek or Schmidt or Dawes?
When's the trade deadline too? It's so late. It's like March 2nd or something stupid now.
Yeah, the first week. It's first week. They don't just make it the end of the season.
So if you're I'm just being real. If you're the Flyers, it's like just chill out. We'll see what happens over the next month, and if we're winning and we need some depth, we'll bring in another goalie, right? If not, and whatever, everything's like we'll see what happens here. And I don't know. I don't want to bury Carter Hart, but I don't think he's going to be playing anytime soon. I'll just tell you that, Flyer fans.
Does the NHL have the admin, like and Major League Baseball, they put you on the admin leave, right? You can't play. I don't know if the NHL has something like that. I assume they do.
And it's no. Their admin leave and say, let's go to the Brass Rail Strip Club, guys, and talk about it. Look at the Blackhawks. Like, they didn't punish the Blackhawks. Like, they're not big on that. They don't have the same sort of code of conduct stuff. You know what I mean?
Hart coming back. When especially if things come out about exactly what happened here, more details, he's not going to be able to come back. It'd be a PR nightmare.
Yeah, but fortunately, it'll be like it's a Hockey Canada problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, listen, he didn't do any of these things when he was with us. So it's, what do you want from us? Right? You know what I mean? The Blackhawks is like, yeah, listen, we covered it up. Right? It's a little bit different. Like the Flyers, and anyways, we'll change the subject. But if you really wanted to be a jerk about it and be real, you could actually ask. So what did you guys actually effing really know for real? when, like, who knew what, when, where, when? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those type of deals.
But George's point, Gabe, I do agree with Kurtz, and I know we've been sweeping these things under, but this is really serious stuff, and somebody eventually has to take a stand. You can't just keep on trying to going through this stuff. You Gabe, you know this. You've covered teams before. This has been a culture that has been these things have been happening for a long period of time. This is serious stuff. The police involved, people are like, you just can't say, yeah, you know, this happened and I'm going to be playing the league. Like this is a career killer. If if bad things happen, it will kill careers, and it should. I hate to say it.
I don't know.
I told you.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Logan Couture got arrested in Europe, bro, and got drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. And Bettman told everyone, don't draft this kid. And then they did anyways. And, right? Corey Perry's back in the league. Took about 6 weeks of redemption.
No, but the
Perry was probably alcohol, right?
Got wasted at a party and he drank and stuff like that, right? You
right.
Can get over,
alcohol and sexual assault are two different things.
This is different. This is
I don't know exactly what Perry did.
Drinking is here.
Corey Perry didn't just get drunk, though. You don't get kicked off a team just for getting drunk.
Agreed. Agreed. Something else happened. Agreed.
There's other things going, but this, just saying, like, in comparison, this is out there. That's what I'm trying to say is there's level, as you say, that kind of like there's levels. This is like,
No, that's why I said Carter Hart's done. Like, they're not going to bring him back. They're just going to say, whatever, dude, good luck with that. And he's a free agent, too, after this, from what I understand. So, whatever. Like, that'll be that for, you know. But I'm saying as far as in a big picture, hockey, you can redeem yourself. Like, they won't, if put it this way, if you don't go to jail, you're good. Look, that dude Mike Denton did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can go on and on. So hockey's you know. Yeah, so the other story was about Utah, which doesn't surprise me, actually, this at all. Right? The owner of the Utah Jazz was on the Pat McAfee show, and I saw the interview earlier this year. And it was funny because I would never tell those guys what to do. They're pretty successful. But I was thinking, you know, you guys got to ask this guy because they were out of basketball questions and stuff. And I was like, man, you got to ask this guy about, like, his NHL aspirations. And Tone Diggs did. He said, you know, I heard you want to get the NHL. And his eyes lit up. And anyone that follows this stuff knows the owner of the Utah Jazz, he's a BYU guy. He's a young tech type guy. He's got a lot of money. And, you know, like the Olympics are going back there and stuff. And, like, it's a hot city and market. And he's, like, one of the guys that is driving this. He believes in it. And honestly, from a weather perspective, guys, you know, it is a winter place. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And from a hockey perspective, it's a pretty white place. I'll say that part out loud. You have a white demographic and a snow-capped city. Tailor-made for the NHL. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real. So, like, they look at it. And I heard Darren Dreger today, who's an NHL insider, and Dreger's been around a long time, and he said, they asked him about Quebec, and he said, listen, I want to go to Quebec. I would love if the NHL goes to Quebec. And he said, Gary Bettman and the NHL don't care about, he said, their whole deal is about growing the game in new markets and making money. And he said, the game's already grown in Quebec. It was a good point, right? It's sort of like the NHL is like, well, whatever. It'll just piss the Canadians off. You know, they're a bunch of French dudes going to change everything. And, like, they won't even have English broadcast rights. We're not going to make that much money off of them, but they're going to get super rich. There's a lot of things they don't like about it. Yet Utah, you talk about Atlanta, Houston's come up, but I'm telling you, Kurtz, as a betting man, Utah will be in the NHL sooner rather than later. They're going to get a team.
Yeah, they actually asked the owner was Smith if he'd be okay with a transplanted team or a team that moved. You know, does it have to be a new team or a team that moves? So makes you wonder about that as well. Of course, there are going to be new teams. Personally, I don't think they need new teams. 32 is a nice number. There aren't that many good players, but how much is that expansion fee? What is that, $1 billion? There's definitely going to be new teams, okay? Owners aren't turning down. You do the math there. Was that $33 million a team, something like that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there'll be new teams, no doubt in my mind.
Maybe Quebec will get in then, Kim. Utah,
Quebec would get
Houston,
Utah's
Quebec,
and
find
they got
another
the Utah
place.
Grizzlies. They got the
Oklahoma
Utah
City.
Grizzlies of the ECHL. Colorado's other affiliate is the Colorado Eagles. So, like, it's one of those things. You bring up a good point, Bryce. Like, Utah, like, they should be more hockey. Like, the hockey should be flourishing there. It's like they have one franchise. It seems like it'd be like a great opportunity.
What do they name the team?
I don't know.
Utah Salt Miners?
The Grizzlies, but that's not happening.
The Salt Miners? That's terrible, Kurtz.
Salt Lake City? I'm just going. It's hard with Utah. It's a hard name to figure out there.
Utah, yeah. I don't know. That's the best.
Utah Ice.
Yeah, Utah Ice. Utah
Ice. Ooh, I kind of like that. I can picture the uniforms already too.
You got to think about what's on Utah there. A lot of. Yeah,
Utah Ice sounds more. That's not good enough. It sounds more like a arena football league team.
What was George's again? Salt Lake what?
Salt Miners. Salt Lake Salt Miners.
I'm a big supporter of the Salt Lake.
They have a lot of salt there, right? Salt Lake City is where it was salt comes to the U.S.
A lot of salt. A lot of soda.
I'm trying to think of something with, but I can't think of anything that would sound good.
It doesn't roll off the tongue with Utah. It's hard, like, to come up with a name. Like, yeah,
right. Utah's a tough one.
It is.
Utah Snow something. Utah
Snowcaps.
Snow
I was thinking Whitecaps would be good, but there's already the Vancouver Whitecaps. Utah Whitecaps.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Whitecaps.
Snowcap. Utah. It's got to be something sort of mountainish, snowish.
Polar bears.
Summits.
Polar bears.
Something with a peak.
You're terrible at this, Kurtz. Salt Miners.
I got the Kraken right.
Like the Polar Bears versus the Avalanche.
I was going with the Kraken. I love the Kraken.
Good. It's grown on me. The Kraken, big time.
You didn't like it.
The Utah Grizzlies is a good name.
Years ago.
Well,
Utah Grizzlies is a good name.
They already have the Utah Grizzlies.
I know.
ECHL. So that's what it is.
They don't like buying the names of these things either, right? They don't like really doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't. That name's already used. You got to come up with something different.
Utah Utopia. There you go.
They'll do a fan vote. They'll come up with something.
Utah Utopia. Okay.
Sponsored by Utopia. Is weed legal in Utah?
Is weed legal in Utah? God, no.
The opposite of legal.
I don't think tobacco is legal in Utah. You get arrested for smoking a Marlboro.
I don't know about
Is weed legal there? No. Dude, they don't even have bars there, bro. Yeah, like you have a hard time getting a drink there. It's Mormon country.
That's the
Mormons, though. Is weed legal? I'm like, oh, God, no.
No, definitely not. No. I got to find another name for like an abominable snowman or a Sasquatch.
Interestingly enough, though.
Utah Sasquatch. Can we
Nothing
talk
is legal there? Yeah, that's more of a Colorado thing. Sasquatch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sasquatch. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's tough. Yeah,
Mitt Romney's from there. I don't know. Utah Mitts.
I don't know. This is bad as Salt Mine.
Mitt Romney's. He's going to be a part owner.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they do.
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was good
late
betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm reading a lot about Utah here. Like they have the state everything. They're state insect. They have a lot of honeybees there. They're big on bees. I guess they make honey in Utah. Cherries. They grow a lot of cherries.
Oh,
Utah
I like cherries.
Yeah, a lot of cherries.
Washington's
I like
good
this.
for
You
cherries.
know, I just thought about this though. It's true. I'm seeing this. The state of Utah is very big, like in like dinosaurs and all that stuff in the old days. There's a lot of fossils there and prehistoric life. You can come up with something cool like that, but here's one: Indian rice grass. The Utah rice grass.
You already called the Utah fossils, though, because your team's old and slow, like you're a fossil. That's not going to work.
Pterodactyls. The Utah pterodactyls. There you go.
Oh, is this the
That's
Flintstones? The Flintstones, pterodactyls.
It feels.
Well, Raptors is the best one. That's nice, easy, short, sounds good, but that's taken already. So I don't know. Whatever. It's not going to be Tyrannosaurus Rex. Pterodactyls.
I say
has a ring to it.
Sasquatch.
Who
No
can spell
one's going to
that?
agree with the Utah.
I say let them
Sasquatch.
come up with their own damn name. They're not paying us for ideas.
Yeah, I don't care either.
But I think they're going to get a team. You know what I mean? They'll get a team. And you know what? Eventually, just to shut Quebec up, Quebec will get a team, but it'll probably be Houston, and eventually Houston, Utah, Quebec City, and the expansion continues. But as you stated, George, I don't know how many teams they're going to have in the league.
Too.
Yeah,
Oh,
Atlanta.
Kansas City.
Oh, give it up already.
Kansas City would be good. But
Kansas
I
City's
don't know. They're
good.
resistant
Kansas
to it.
City
I
almost
don't know
had the
why.
Islanders.
They have
Kansas
a good
City was
arena.
one
They have a
time
new
going to have
arena.
the Islanders. They came
I
close.
just don't understand. But
I'll
listen,
tell you
guys,
another
I don't
city, Cam.
understand the needs to come back to Atlanta when we've already had the Flames and whatever. Give somebody else new a chance before.
Dude, they've done it twice in Atlanta already,
I
Cam.
know.
Twice.
The Thrashers and the Flames.
Flames
What do
and
you want?
Thrashers.
Oh, yeah, 2 strikes. 3 strikes, you're
Yeah,
out.
but this
Like, what do you
time
want?
they're lying. Like I said earlier, bro, they're not really going to Atlanta. They're going to go to the rich suburbs. That's what they're blaming behind the scenes. Well, you know, before it was it was urban, right? It wasn't our demographic, right?
Ridiculous.
It's true. Look what the Atlanta Braves did, George. You know what I mean? It's not a coincidence what they did.